good morning, good afternoon, what have you. It's currently noon right now, and we're on Victoria Street in the beautiful town of Digby, Nova Scotia. And we're just going to take a little drive around, see the sights, maybe see something you haven't seen before, or maybe it's been a number of years since you've been back on these streets. Either way, I invite you to join me. Just an update, if you had watched my previous video regarding the fire situation in Nova Scotia, and in particular in Annapolis County where we was located and headed out to Sandy Bottom. That fire has been contained, or is listed now as under control. It got to be, I think, 5 to 6 hectares at its biggest, but it was split into a couple of smaller fires with the assistance of the water bomber and the helicopters dropping some water on it. And yesterday afternoon we got some very much needed rain, which came in the form of downpours around a lot of the province. But with those downpours also came major thunder and lightning storms, and Digby seen a lot of the effects of the thunder and lightning from yesterday morning. And in fact, as I was coming into this town this morning for my appointment, I had to come get my ears lowered, as my father would say. To most people it'd be a haircut, but yeah, when I came down here this morning, upon arriving in Digby, I was actually greeted by the fire trucks, the fleet leaving town to go on a new call. From what I've understood, there's an active fire situation out around the Acaciaville trails, which was actually, I planned on kind of going out and starting and doing a little drive through around Acaciaville and by the airport and down into town today. And so, not trying to feel sorry for myself, but there's a reason why we're not out there right now. But hopefully everything works out, hopefully everybody's safe, and hopefully they make quick work of the fire, which seems to be caused from a lightning strike sometime yesterday. If you've never been to Digby, I highly suggest coming. It's got an absolutely beautiful little waterfront tucked in behind some of these buildings. Some nice dining, gives you boardwalk access. It's a nice little spot to walk on the boardwalk, just take in the sights of the harbor and of the lobster and scallop fleet. In the wintertime, they got a beautiful buoy tree that last year was their first year doing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be an annual thing. I think the locals really enjoyed it. I think the fishermen enjoyed it. I'd say that guy's going back to unload some stuff for Digby Marine. One of the local stores that service the fishing fleet around here. The tide's on its way in. Probably another 4 hours. The tide will be high. The rails of the boat will be level with the platform on the wharf that I'm driving right now. The wheelhouses will be up higher than where we're at. And then 6 hours from then, they'll be sitting down probably another 10 feet lower than where they are right now. It's always a beautiful spot for a nice little drive or a nice little walk in the Digby waterfront. The amount of time that I spent on this wharf when I was a kid, watching my father come and go, or watching him waiting for him to repair equipment, scallop gear or fishing nets, and those guys must have just offloaded their catch. Looks to be a lobster boat there checking some traps. Looks to be a 5-trap trawl. And it's throwing the buoy. Now they're going to run them off. And you can see these two little yellow buoys right here just off the wharf here inside. And that's probably another little spot. Another little 5-trap trawl that they got. Now he's steaming back down over his ground. Guy doing a burnout there behind us on the wharf. Not really an uncommon thing, to be honest with you. I grew up around these wharves long enough to know. Yeah, that's about as foolish as you can get right there. I don't care who you are, but when you're that guy's age, he looked to be about 60. He's probably no better than flying down a wharf at 80. You never know what you're going to see here. You can see the Pines Resort over on the hillside there, overlooking the harbor. Starting to be a nice little marina down there though. I think there's a few tours that actually will show you some historic sites around the around the Annapolis Basin. But I think down further, once you leave Digby and go down towards the islands, you'll start getting like your whale watching tours and whatnot. Such small, narrow, old town streets. It is a nice little town though, it's very scenic. There's a reason it's listed as one of the most romantic towns around. What would that be like as a snowplow driver in the wintertime, eh? these crazy steep streets. So we're currently on 2nd Avenue. And we're just gonna skip around town, just kind of cut through every other street, kinda. It's been a long time since I cut down some of these streets. There once was a time when I was in Digby quite a bit. Almost daily or nightly. Now we're going to cut up 1st Avenue. So now we're just the first street up off of Water Street, or Montague Road. This is one of the prettier streets in Digby, in my opinion. Nice old houses. It's got a lot of old Digby here. Now just picture this town, if you've never been here, during Wharf Rat Rally. The whole town that we're driving through so far usually is just foot traffic and motorcycles. Anything with 2 wheels pretty much doesn't have much chance in getting around this town during Wharf Rat Rally, between the amount of people and Montague Ave down below us on the water side. That's all bikes. The whole town just becomes an entire bike festival. It's hard to even process how many people come into the town during that period of time. A lot of people, some people rent area out in their backyards for tents, for people to put up tents, because all the bed and breakfasts and all the hotels and everything get absolutely swamped when there's no spot for them. So that's kind of become a thing. They just rent out a couple square feet in their backyard for people to tent, and it's kind of worked pretty good, I believe. I think better than most people kind of originally thought it was going. This is one of the main places for the fishing fleet to get a lot of their work done on. Is Larchies. They worked on our lobster boat when I used to fish many times. They do excellent work. Little buoy lanterns. This would be known as Queen Street. The majority of the town is really built right on this hillside. Look straight down over the harbor. Back in the old day, they used to be able to, watch over their livelihood. Now people enjoy the view. That's a beautiful spot right there. Look at that view. Something that just gives it its own little personality, this hillside and everything that's built on the side, and the way it all overlooks the harbor. Something nice about it. So many nice, well-capped homes, to be honest with you. Like some of these, for the age, it's nice to see. It's nice to see the amount of upkeep that's been put into them. The effort. It's definitely appreciated. I mean, these are the buildings and stuff that I like driving around and seeing the old stuff. The shiny office buildings look cool in some, in their own little way, but you can't, they don't make up for the personality that these old buildings have. They've just got so much character and so much personality. The old sailors and captains' homes. And we're turning up King Street now. That's the bump you used to be able to ramp your car off of when we were younger. We come down that years ago when I think I was like 16 in my friend's car, not expecting it to. It kind of comes out and plateaus on that street, and then it dips down into that hill going down through onto the next street. And I don't think he knew it, and none of us were ready for it, because when that car hit pavement again, 3 of the hubcaps kind of just went, and I'll never really forget that night. That was I'm pretty sure that's right where it was, back there on that stop sign on King Street. We just went by the Digby High School. It's quite a nice little high school, actually. It's one of the newer ones around. And then behind us, next to the high school, is one of the main lifebloods of Digby, which, other than the wharf, would be the Digby Trap Shop. I believe there's a few of them in Digby now, lobster trap shops, but that was always where we got a lot of our lobster traps, or a lot of our supplies. Carlton Road right now, just for a short moment, and now we're going to cut up 3rd Avenue. You're pretty much on the top of the peak now. You've got almost as much elevation as you're going to gain coming up. So these would be the real nice views, so to speak, or the tippity top of the spot. It's kind of neat. It's almost got like a lighthouse front on it. It kind of mimics a lighthouse. Somebody got barbecue going. I can smell barbecue. Ooh. I'm gonna have to take a U-ey, go back there. That smells good. I don't know who's working the grill, but they know what they're doing. Cutting up Church Street. Pretty soon I'm going to go by the baseball field. This has been the baseball field for as long as I can ever remember. Played many lob ball games there. They always have a big lob ball tournament during the Scallop Days festivities, and usually during the Lobster Bash festivities. Slowly kind of dissecting our way through Digby. So now we're going to cut down Sydney Street. This will be one of the last residential streets for us to cut down and through, because we've really, in all honesty, we've covered the majority of them. It seems like a big town until you kind of get zigzagging through the tops of it. Now we're cutting down West Street. It's nice. Some of the local fishermen never had to lose their view of the bay. It's a nice little street. Kind of unaware of what street I just come off of, because it's not really, it doesn't show in the GPS, and there was no street sign really that I could make sense of at the moment. This will cut us down through Carlton Street. This street could probably use a little bit of paving. And we're going to cut down King Street here to Raquette Street. I think that's about the only thing that I don't really care for about this Jeep, is the stop and starts, where you stop and it kills the engine. It's kind of, it counteracts trying to cool your engine off, trying to cycle oil through your turbo to keep things cooled off. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I try to shut it off as much as I can, but every now and then I just kind of forget. But we're now on Raquette Street. we're going to take our little drive out shore road. That'll take us off to the right of us here, and it'll take us out around on the water side. And we're going to take a little drive out to the Point Prim Lighthouse, because it's a really beautiful spot. Digby's beautiful, but you can't have the entire Digby experience without a little drive out to Point Prim. I'm just now noticing how much that lightning and the thunder and lightning changed the air. Like, it was a big thunder and lightning storm that we had. And I mean, yesterday, like, you're talking 24 degrees at like 10 a.m. and today we haven't even touched 20 degrees. 18 degrees. It's after lunch. This is what I always remember Nova Scotia weather being. Wow, that's going to be quite a view up there. Whoever's building up there, you're going to have quite a spot. Some people here probably having a little lunch, getting out of the office or away from the every day, having a little lunch break. Now we catch up to the lobster boat that we seen off at Digby Wharf. They're down carrying on through the gear. Oh, there goes another buoy. It's kind of fun watching them when you actually know what they're doing. For me, that's about the only enjoyment I can get out of fishing now, is take a little drive, watch and see what's going on. He's getting a fair little pick right there too. Now this up here, if I am correct in what I've always been told, it's this is scallop farming. So this would be a form of aquaculture up here, just off into the Annapolis Basin, and they've chose this area right here by the ferry terminal, and it's because of the amount of tide flow and exchange that the cages will actually get. But sadly, I mean, you can't get away from the fact that underneath of those is just nothing but sea lice, and there's so much like marine fecal matter, and it's definitely got its drawbacks. But I don't think we're gonna see I don't think you're ever going to see it go anywhere. I mean, take your picture, man. Enjoy the province, but geez, like, just pull your car over off, like, the guy was parked literally on the equivalent of the yellow line. At least I got my camera mounted to the top of my Jeep. Like, come on, bro. Think ahead. No. He was all good though. I could have fit by him. I might have just had to shut his door for him. Give his door a little tap with the good wrench, the BFs. So you can't really see it, but just down below us, that's the Bay Ferries ferry terminal. And if you watched a few videos ago when we went from Nova Scotia to New Brunswick on our journey over to Fredericton, that was our departure spot. That would be where we came to and left from. It was a nice little ferry ride. It was faster than the old one. I mean, this new ferry's a lot faster anyway, but it was the first time I'd ever been on the new ferry compared to the old one. I do miss the old one, but I will say I'm one of those people that I don't look forward to change, but once it's already happened, you know, I kind of go with the flow, but like, I think I'm allowed to miss the old ferry. I miss me and my wife, we used to go to Fredericton over to school and stuff. We shared many trips across the Bay of Fundy on the old ferry. It kind of just felt weird being together on the new ferry. Like, it didn't really feel, it felt so different. I guess that's the only way that I can put it. It felt so different to make the journey with the same person, and it feels so different. I remember sitting watching Mighty Ducks and just think, like, we'd be going over to go back to university after, you know, holiday breaks or whatever, and my wife would go up. We're university students, and she'd go up and ask them to put Mighty Ducks on for the Crossing movie. It was pretty much like every time. That's the kind of stuff I love about her. We're definitely two peas in a pod. Just enough alike to have fun, and different enough that it never gets boring, I guess. I think that's probably how you want it, isn't it? So this is called the Bayview Shore Road that we're currently on, this dirt road. I wouldn't go advise you to seek it out or anything. It mainly just fits into this drive because I don't want to show you the same, excuse me. I don't want to drive you out Lighthouse Road and then drive you back in the same road. Pardon me. So that's why we're going out through, that's why we went out through the dirt road. And it also allowed me to give you a little bit of a shot of the Annapolis Basin there. By the number of times that I've come down that shore road, middle of the night, or slept on that ferry terminal dock waiting for my wife to get off the boat back when it used to run all the time. I used to sleep in the back of my Jeep Cherokee waiting for her to get off the boat. And the last time that I ever drove my Jeep Cherokee was leaving that ferry terminal. It was the last time that I dropped her off in my Jeep before I got this Jeep, and it was the last Jeep that I owned before I got this Jeep that I have now. But I dropped her off so she could go back to UMB, and I headed back up to home. And I remember in Belle Isle, a car come around a corner, and he was way over on my side of the road. According to the police report, it was because there was a dog. He said that he was swerving out of the way of a dog, which, whatever, here and there, but he come around this a pretty sharp corner, and rather than a head-on collision, I reacted and I swerved into the ditch. It was a very embanked ditch, and the roadway that I was on was 80 to 90 kilometers. I think at the time it was a 90 kilometer speed limit. My back tires were off in the ditch. My front tires were still up, very much like out of the ditch on somewhat pavement. And the last thing I remember is the vehicle just making a howl and then crashing all around me. And the passenger side of my vehicle dug in, and it rolled. And when it rolled, it pitch pulled, and the front come down. And when the front come down, I continued to pitch pull. But somehow the back of my seat got blown out. So when I rolled and the back of the Jeep went down, and then it caught. At that point, I was like, I remember I wasn't seated up, but I was like, the seat had already gone. And when it started to roll, I was basically laying down in the seat. And I just remember being in the cop car, and then the ambulance took me. And I remember being at the hospital, and the doctor telling my mother, because my mother had to come and get me. And I remember the doctor telling my mother not to be mad at me, that if it wasn't for the back of the seat laying, like the seat blowing apart and the back laying down and basically reclining me, I probably wouldn't have been here, because it allowed me to lay down flat, and none of me was flailing like. So it was that one mechanical failure where the back of the seat just laid down. I'm in the middle of the Jeep, basically seat belted in. Everything's going around. The impact was hard enough that the back tires on the Jeep got thrown out of the rear end, and out the axle, the hub, everything was all still connected, but it catapulted one tire and axle like hundreds of feet down into this farm field. The Jeep didn't have any back wheels on it because it catapulted the axles out of it. It blew her right apart. Like, I still drive some days, and I still have yet to figure out why I'm still here. Like, yeah, I feel like there was a purpose, but I've yet to realize it, you know? Like, and not having kids kind of makes it, like, even more hollow. Because it's like, I think to a lot of people, you're, like, the whole, you know, that whole universal question of what's the meaning of life, I think it's, you gain your amount of knowledge and you pass it along to your next generation to continue and be stewards of the earth and have a good life and protect each other and grow and learn through each life experience that we share with each other. Like, I think that's, and with our, you know, with our youth and our offspring and whatnot, I think that's the meaning. Like, I think that's your meaning of life. And for many years, like, for a long time, I've struggled with that and not having kids, and kind of like, it's kind of reared its head again as I've kind of got into my mid-40s, and I just, like, I know that I wasn't, like, I'm pretty sure I didn't get, like, I look at it like something divine happened. Like, I should have been broke up. I should have been busted up. I mean, I walked away from that accident without scratch, without anything. I didn't have whiplash. I didn't have nothing. You know, like, I've got beat up worse going to my everyday job lobster fishing. So I look at it like there was for a long time I thought there's a reason, like there's something I'm supposed to be doing. And I've said it in other videos, like, as a fisherman, like, what did I ever give back other than a paycheck to somebody? And in a lot of ways, I think that kind of ties into this. It's like, I've been looking for this reason, because what I've always thought was the meaning of life, like, or, you know, the meaning of getting up and striving. For me, it was never about, like, the meaning of life ain't about making money, you know what I mean? Like, I've never been that person, and I don't see myself becoming that person, but some days it just gets harder than others when you kind of get in your own head. And I think I am at that kind of stage where I'm trying to figure out what the next chapter is, like. And I don't know. And to be frank with you, I kind of got tired of pretending like I do know what the next chapter is going to hold, or that I've got some grand plan, because I don't, and I never have. Don't really know where to go from that, but and in all honesty, I think I was fine with everything. I think I was fine with everything, and then when my dog passed away at 14 and a half years old, I kind of got this, I asked myself a question. The problem was we'd already got another dog. And I was already excited about getting another dog. And I love our dog. I love Abby to pieces. I wouldn't change her for the world right now. But for the longest time, I had like this guilt, like, and it was like, it was tied into not having a purpose, not having, just feeling like I was just wandering through life, like, aimlessly. And I remember playing video games when I was younger and saying, like, why am I even doing this? Why am I putting X amount of hours into a game that if the power goes off, I gotta start over. I don't get nothing of it. When the power's done, well, when you shut the game off, it's over with. There's nothing there. You just get to start again and do it all again. But it was like there's no payout at the end, and we got Abby, and I was struggling a lot with guilt of like replacing our old dog's memories with new memories, and kind of the worry and the panic of like, you're doing stuff with your new dog or whatever, and it's like you feel guilty because you're not thinking of your old guy no more. You're not thinking of that puppy no more. You're not thinking of, you know. So I struggled a lot with that, and I kind of got that way with a lot of stuff after Abby came along. I asked myself, and it was like a fatal question, because it really kind of, it put me into the wrong headspace for a long time, and it was like, why am I doing this just to get nothing at the end of it? Like, we're gonna raise a dog for 7 to 14 years, and she's gonna go, and then we're gonna be stuck here, just the two of us again. And I started to get angry with myself for wanting to do it, for wanting to put myself through that, the loss and all that again. And it took me a long time to realize the happiness that that Abby's brought into our lives. And then you get the little tiny things that make you question how much of your old dog might be right there in Abby. There's some stuff, and it's kind of weird because for about the first year she didn't really do a lot of it. I never seen none of him in her at all. And then I kind of forced myself into a better headspace. I realized that I wasn't doing anything. I kind of pulled myself back into my own little hole. Like, I wasn't being as active with Cooper like I always had been. I wasn't being active with her like I had been with our other dog. It was like with his passing, I was just letting my whole life pass. And with realizing how unfair I was being, I forced myself kind of out of it. A lot of hard changes had to be made. Some of it just meant getting up in the morning and going and doing something, and not just letting myself be happy with wasting the day inside of a bedroom or down looking at a TV. But actually getting out and experiencing the world again, and loving the world and loving myself, and loving my pets. And once I started making those changes, and I started getting out, letting my soul kind of breathe, I started to realize that there was a lot of my old dog in Abby. Whether it was stuff that we had instilled in her, or whether it was that old saying of the one you lost sends you the one that you need. But there's also a belief that when your dog passes, they don't necessarily pass. They just go to somebody else that needs them. And they'll be back, but they might be learning some life lessons that they know you're going to need in the future. And I think that might be what kind of took place with us. Was I think my boy just might have had to take a couple of weeks off. I think he just had to get a few lessons, and there's a lot of him that I see in Abby. And I miss him every day, but having her and having Cooper, it makes a lot of it a lot better, a lot easier, a lot more tolerable. This must be a new thing that they do here. I never really noticed. In the past years, I never really did. A lot of the vendors like that on the waterfront. On a lot of the weekends, like the scallop days or lobster bash, stuff like that, they had the vendors. But not so much like just everyday Monday to Friday type stuff through the summer. It's kind of nice to see. The town definitely gets busy though in the afternoons. Small growing pains of Digby. If you ask me, I think the town's managed it pretty well. So we're just going to do a little perimeter drive around here before we head back out of town. Wind up this video. So if you watched up until now, you can definitely tell Digby's a beautiful town, and I miss my dog. Most days he would have been right here with me. He was pretty inseparable. I guess maybe this is what they call that midlife crisis. Driving around, wondering what the big deal is, what I'm supposed to be doing. I obviously don't know. But I thank you for listening to me, giving me a spot to kind of vocalize some of this. Grief is a monster. You just don't want to, I don't know. In my experience, keeping it bottled up just doesn't work. And it may be 3+ years later. But it still feels good to talk about him. See, I wonder what's going in there. Thank you to anybody that's watched up until now. If you have watched until now, I appreciate you so very much. Thank you for giving me a spot to vent sometimes. Just being there to listen. But we're gonna end it as we drive out of Digby. We're gonna get on the highway and head on home and maybe where it's a nice day and not so hot, I think I'll pack the dogs up and go for a little walk. It's a day where their paws won't just be scorching and it won't be overexerting for Cooper, so I think that might be the afternoon plan. Until then, be safe. Enjoy your days. Try not to waste them.